Today on the table I've got a Dell G315. This particular one I'll be reviewing. The specifications on this one is a i5 9300 processor, 8GB of DDR4 and dual channel mode, a 512GB NVMe drive, a GTX 1650 and a 60Hz display panel. Throughout this review I'll just be going over various things I've noticed in my 3 weeks of ownership of this machine, various quirks and flaws that I've come across, and also a few positives as well. To begin with, I'll start with the I/O on this machine. On the right hand of the machine you have the Kensington lock, 2 USB 3 ports, SD card reader, and that's all we've got along the right hand side. The SD card reader I did find a bit odd, as it did seem to stick out the card quite a bit in comparison to other laptops. Along the front of the machine there's really not too much to note. I definitely do like the two-tone look of the white and black, or the matte black on the inside. So I'm definitely a fan of the colour that they've chose to go with on this particular machine. And now looking at the I/O on the left hand side, we have the headset port, a compact Ethernet port, USB, HDMI, Type-C, and also the power jack. One dilemma I did have with this machine was that the USB speeds on it did seem to be fairly slow, like about 1/3 of what I'm used to getting from most laptops. So I'm not sure if it was particular drivers that were on here or the chipset they've decided to use on here. The keyboard itself, I had no real complaints about it. The travel on the keys was perfectly fine. The layout I was also extremely happy with. Typical Dell, no real dramas here. The trackpad though, I was expecting I was going to hate it, but the slight textured feel on it does feel quite nice. And the other thing I do like about it is the responsiveness of it, where typically I don't like the one single panel design of most mouse pads. With this particular one it wasn't really an issue at all, which did surprise me. Two-finger tracking did work perfectly fine on here, no real dramas with web browsing. So overall, I'll probably give that trackpad a B+. The screen on the other hand, I'm a bit on the fence about. It is a 1080 resolution panel running at 60Hz, which is a bit of a letdown. I'll preferably switch this out to a 120Hz panel. The colours of it do seem nice, and the viewing angles also seem to be fairly good as well. So it's okay, but if you're stepping down to this machine from a more expensive gaming laptop, you're probably going to be disappointed in the picture quality that you get. And while we're still on the subject of the actual display, as you can see here, single finger, single hand, managed to open and close that lid without a drama. Trying it in the corners, not so much. Smack bang in the center, that should open perfectly fine. While we're at it, here's a test of the webcam. This is a test of the Dell G315 webcam and microphone. As you see, it's not that crash hot. Motion's okay. Audio quality's pretty terrible. Yeah, sorry for making your ears bleed there, but onwards next is the Dell charger. This one's an 130 watt charger, which is pretty much in line with pretty much all the machines that I've seen running the 9300 processor and also the GTX 1650. The weight of it is relatively light. It's fairly small and compact, especially compared to other models like the Asus TUF or the MSI GL65. So if you've seen Dell chargers in the past, it's pretty much the same as all those. Now while I'm talking about power, I might as well bring up some benchmarks. I have released a previous video regarding quite a few different games and this laptop and its performance. So I'll just bring back one of them, which was GTA 5. Granted, gaming on this is pretty good if you can get over the sound of the fans. It does get quite hot, quite loud, which this machine is pretty terrible at thermal throttling. If you look up in the top left hand corner, you'll see CPU usage, which right now is at around 44%. But if you look at the temperature, it's currently running at 97 degrees Celsius. Quite hot. So on the subject of thermal throttling, if we take a look at the side here, with the screen open, the exhaust vents are going and blasting hot air directly into the bottom half of that screen, which for long-term use, I'm not sure how well that's going to pan out. I could see potential risk of display failures because of this. I do find the actual clamshell design does look pretty cool, but especially at the risk of killing a display, I don't think it's a worthwhile trade-off. So my summary of this compared to my previous machine, the GL65, I found the step down from 120 Hz to 60 Hz to be relatively painful. The battery life has increased from 2 to 4 hours, which is very welcomed. The keyboard, I preferred the Dell's a lot more. The trackpad surprised me, and the I/O was very similar. I do believe that the cooling efficiency on the GL65 is a lot better than the Dell G3. But overall, if you're using it mainly as a school machine and doing mainly a bit of graphics editing, schoolwork, web browsing, YouTube, Facebook, it's going to be perfectly fine and capable of doing that. But if you're looking at this at the full recommended retail price, I definitely would be giving this a pass. So anyway, these have been my thoughts and my review on the Dell G3 15. Bye.